Are you angry at Donald Trump right now? If not, you should be. Now, those of you that have watched any of my videos knows that I am not a fan of Donald Trump. I have documented my opinion with facts and analysis. Today on this 10-minute talk, I want to go a little bit further. You see, Donald Trump just admitted something that should terrify every American. While millions of Americans are drowning in debt, struggling with inflation, watching retirement accounts wobble, and wondering if they'll ever be able to afford groceries, housing, or health care again, Trump said he's not worried about the people he represents or their finances. He's worried about one thing, whether or not Iran is getting a nuclear weapon. That's it. Not your paycheck, not your retirement, not your collapsing buying power, not the cost of living. And the craziest part? Many of his supporters still cheer him on while their own financial future burns like a strip mall transformer in July. Today we're going to talk about what Trump actually said, why it matters, why America's intelligence agencies don't agree with him on Iran, and why millions of Americans keep ignoring the economic wrecking ball swinging directly at their own lives. I'm David Tomsik, and this is Clear Signal. Donald Trump recently made it crystal clear where his priorities are. He brushed aside concerns about Americans struggling financially and pivoted immediately to Iran and nuclear weapons. Now, listen carefully. No sane person wants nuclear proliferation. The question here is, should we believe Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, basically two war criminals, that if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, they would use it? I don't think so. I don't believe it. Trump said the same thing about North Korea. Here we all are. In fact, the only country that ever used a nuclear weapon is, you're right, the U.S. But here's the bigger issue. America already has an intelligence infrastructure designed specifically to evaluate these threats. And according to reports over the years, multiple U.S. intelligence assessments have repeatedly concluded that Iran was not actively building a nuclear weapon in the way politicians often claim. That includes findings supported across numerous intelligence agencies. Keep in mind it was Donald Trump, even after his intelligence services told him there were no nuclear weapons in Iran, that he decided to go to war with Iran, a war he is now losing big time. Remember that Donald Trump doesn't care about intelligence reports when they conflict with his political narrative. We've seen this before. Climate science, election results, economic projections, COVID data. If facts don't fit the storyline wins. And right now the storyline is fear. You know why? Fear sells. Fear mobilizes. Fear distracts. Remember 9/11? Because while Americans panic about foreign enemies, they stop paying attention to what's happening inside their own country. And what's happening inside America right now is economic pressure unlike many families have experienced in decades. So let's talk reality, something that doesn't exist in Washington, D.C., in evangelical churches, and right-wing conservative think tanks. We all know where that's going. Americans are carrying record levels of credit card debt. Housing prices remain out of reach for millions. Rent is crushing younger generations. Groceries still feel absurdly expensive. And if the war continues, by fall, there could be shortages of food due to the lack of fertilizer. Fertilizer, by the way, that comes out of the Middle East. Insurance costs are exploding. As bond yields rise, and they are, mortgage and car loan rates will also rise, making houses and cars even less affordable than they are now. And many Americans are working harder than ever while falling further behind. But according to Trump, that's apparently not the priority here. And this is where things get politically fascinating, because many of the people hurt most by economic instability are the very voters that are still defending him online, in coffee shops, and at dinner tables across this country. Working class conservatives, rural Americans, make America great again, right? Older Americans on fixed incomes, evangelical families already struggling financially. Many of them are angry about inflation, angry about wages, angry about uncertainty. Yet when Trump openly dismisses economic anxiety, they interpret it as strength. He's God's man, so whatever he needs to do is what's best for America. That's not politics anymore. That's identity. Trump has become something larger than policy to his base. He's become emotional tribalism, a symbol of the release of their frustration with America's changing culture. And once politics becomes emotional identity, facts stop mattering. People stop asking, is my life actually improving? Instead, they ask, is my side winning? Because it's always about winning with Donald Trump. The shift is incredibly dangerous for democracy because politicians should work for citizens. Citizens should not emotionally surrender themselves to politicians. Foreign threats have always been useful tools in American politics. Remember the Cold War, terrorism after 9/11, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Fear creates unity. Fear creates obedience. Fear reduces scrutiny. And right now, Iran serves as the perfect political victim, complex enough to sound dangerous, far enough away that most Americans can't verify claims themselves, emotionally charged enough to dominate the headlines. But here's what should concern you. When leaders focus obsessively on external enemies while internal economic problems worsen, average citizens usually pay the price, especially if you are part of the opposition, like me. History shows this again and again. Wars cost money. Military escalation costs money. Right now, the cost of the Iran war is in the billions. We won't even know how much this cost, probably until years down the road. Global instability affects oil prices, markets, inflation, and debt. Meanwhile, ordinary Americans continue trying to survive paycheck to paycheck, while billionaires and defense contractors thrive during geopolitical chaos. And yet millions of Americans are conditioned to believe questioning any of this makes you weak, unpatriotic, or somehow anti-American. That's how propaganda works. Not by convincing everyone, just by emotionally overwhelming enough people to stop asking difficult questions. We need to talk about something many mainstream commentators avoid completely. White evangelical support for Trump. A massive portion of Trump's base views Middle East conflict through prophetic theology. I talk a lot about this on our sister channel, Loud and Clear. I'll leave a link in the description box to that channel. Check it out. For some Christians influenced by end times theology, conflict involving Israel and Iran isn't just geopolitics. It's prophecy. And that changes everything. Because once political conflict becomes spiritually framed, rational debate becomes nearly impossible. I know this firsthand. Economic suffering becomes secondary. Foreign conflict becomes necessary. Trump understands this better than almost any modern politician. He knows how to activate emotional and religious identity simultaneously. And many evangelical leaders continue reinforcing that loyalty, no matter what happens economically. Even if retirement accounts suffer, even if tariffs increase prices, even if working families struggle, the movement survives because it's no longer built primarily on outcomes. It's built on belief. So here's the question every American should ask themselves tonight. What kind of leader dismisses the financial pain of his own citizens while demanding absolute focus on foreign threats? A leader confident in economic stability wouldn't need constant distraction. And here's yet another uncomfortable truth. If any other president openly implied Americans' financial struggles mattered less than overseas conflict, conservative media would explode with outrage 24 hours a day. Because it's Trump, many supporters simply absorb it and move on. That's not accountability. That's political immunity. And no politician should ever have that level of emotional control over voters. You can support strong national defense while demanding leaders prioritize American families. You can care about global security while still caring about whether Americans can afford to live. Those things are not mutually exclusive. But increasingly in American politics, people are being told they must choose between loyalty and reality. And once reality loses, and it's losing right now, countries begin to fracture from the inside. That's the real danger. Not just Iran, not just nuclear fears, but a political culture where facts no longer matter. Economic suffering gets minimized, and millions of Americans willingly ignore the warning signs because their political tribe demands it. And that should concern every single one of us. Hey, if you enjoy this video, subscribe to Clear Signal and smash that like button. Leave your thoughts below. Do you think Americans are ignoring the economy because politics has become tribal identity? I want to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the description box. This is Loud and Clear, and I'll see you next time.